Okay, thank you. Um, I'd now like to ask some questions regarding the positions listed in attachment 1 of late file exhibit 34. And my first question is regarding Excel rows 100 to 103. It's the comp, trans plus renewable markets department. What is that department's role? What work do they do?
Just need to confer for one moment. We could try to read that in. I don't think we have that information as specific to line items as to what each of these roles performs. But I can, if your question is leading towards why would 2.52% of their time be allocated, I think one thing that's really important, what we as a company have, and we provided that as audit 1-15 attachment 3, we have a time reporting policy which requires direct charging of employees' time where applicable. So to the extent an employee is working directly on a Yankee Gas initiative, so for example, today in these hearings, we're working on a Yankee Gas rate case, we would charge our time to Yankee Gas. Where it's not possible to assign directly to an operating company, the time reporting policy requires you to choose a rate code, which is an allocator amongst companies that would be reflective, generally reflective of your time spent on that more generalized initiative. So to the extent this team has 2.52% of their time charged to Yankee, which is the actual portion of their time charged in 2023, our test year, it would be charged by those individuals. And then a supervisor manager, their direct supervisor would approve that, would review and approve that time to ensure they were properly charging any time either direct or through allocators to Yankee Gas.
And you know, for each of these positions, whether it was a direct charge or it was allocated?
I don't have that information. 1 second, please. Okay, so I actually can, we spoke with the CCC owner and for this particular one, they were direct charging. They worked specifically on geothermal and hydrogen opportunities that were being discussed within the state of Connecticut.
Thank you. My next question is regarding the 08Y distributed generation plus director department. It's Excel rows 123 to 129.
Yep, I'm there.
What is the role of that department?
I think similarly, we'd need to read that in. I don't have what each of these positions performed in the test year in order to allocate their time, but just to reiterate once again, these employees are charging their time based on our time reporting policy that we provided on the record, and they're subsequently approved by their direct supervisor when they review their time to ensure that either they're direct charging or allocating their time appropriately to each of the operating companies.
Does Yankee have distributed generation on its system?
One second, please. And just so I understand the question, the question was, does Yankee Gas have any distributed generation on its system?
How does distributed generation apply to or relate to Yankee Gas?
Okay, let's take a read in on that one. I think we can get an answer. I think we may have an answer, but I just want to confirm 'cause it's a little bit outside my wheelhouse.
I understand. I'm wondering how to do this because I have quite a few positions or departments that I would like to ask you for information. I'm not sure the best way to obtain this information.
If you call them out, what we can do is have the teams contact the departments to determine their 2023 services provided to Yankee Gas. Remember, most of these where you see tiny percentages is direct charge. It's completely outside their core business responsibilities. It's not in their default work orders. It's not part of their ordinary course of business, most likely, of course, subject to check, because you may have some areas where you have like a C04 common allocator and it's included in there and it'll be a smaller percentage. But in cases where you have like 0.02, those are cases where someone's probably charging 2-3 hours to Yankee Gas. So if you can give us the 3-digit code, which is the cost control center, we'll have our teams contact those cost control center owners, look back to 2023 and see the work that was performed.
Can I just clarify and to make sure we get Ms. Keenan what she needs? Maybe the most helpful thing for us would be if she could identify the row numbers, right? Because she identified, for example, with this one, Excel rows 123, I think to 129, which all roll under distributed generation. If that's not too burdensome, we could just simply have her recite into the record the rows for which she wants information, and we'll commit to give that in a read-in, if that would be acceptable to Attorney Keenan.
That would be helpful. And I'll go through, if it's okay, one by one, because I do have maybe some other questions. And it also would be helpful to know, like, for example, the information you provided regarding the comp transit plus renewable markets position, what they worked on. That would be helpful if possible. Okay, my next question is regarding, it's Excel rows 133 to 137. It's the Supplier Services Department. And I would like to know what the role of the Supplier Services Department is. Based on some of the positions, I'm thinking it's a third-party electric suppliers.
Yep, we have that.
What is the role of the Supplier Services Department?
Yeah.
Okay. The next is Excel rows 214 to 216. It's the MA Credit Plus Collections Department.
Got it.
And I have a question. The next one is regarding Excel rows 225 to 228. I just have a question regarding what FCS stands for. It's the FCS Administration Department.
And I was just going to offer for efficiency reasons, I'm fine with the approach of having Attorney Keenan just continue to recite the rows, and then in that one consolidated read-in, we can provide the information if that works. Sure, go ahead, Mr. Coco.
So was the question is, what is the acronym FCS? FCS stands for, with regards to meter and operations, because I just had a reference diagram looked at, it's Fields Connect System. But I'd also, if possible, if we do need to read it, I have that question, but it is FCS with regards to metering is Fields Connect System.
Thank you. Okay, my next question is, does Yankee have advanced metering infrastructure or AMI meters?
And actually, before we jump to that response, I just want to make sure, does the chair want us to classify that as read-in number 2? Or I know read-in 1 had been rolled into the late file supplement, so I just want to make sure we call it the right thing.
Thank you. Yes, we will be referring to this as read-in 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just see one minute. So there are some metering differences subject to check. That's what I was looking up. There is no AMI at Yankee Gas in terms of like the new deployment of the AMI.
Okay, thank you. So can we add to the list of the read-in Excel rows 252 to 257? It's the 5 positions in the SVP Customer Ops plus DIG CCO department.
Yes, we can add that. Thank you.
The next one is Excel rows 360 to 366, which is the 9 positions in the 145 Revenue Rec MA Service Company department.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You said 360 to 366?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that one. So we did use that as an example in our written response to this late file. So I can speak directly to this one. So these are essentially our counterparts in Massachusetts who do revenue requirement work, similar to what we're testifying here to today. And specific to that team, there was 2 individuals who worked in our team specifically lost an individual. So we supplemented our staff with Massachusetts revenue requirements folks who had the knowledge, who could easily step into that position, perform the work with limited guidance, and be extremely cost efficient, which is why we have a service company structure because we are able to utilize individuals in different states. Is that?
Okay. And they'll be providing this in the rate year as well?
Yeah, so our expectation is that back and forth happens regularly. There's ebb and flow where Massachusetts assists Connecticut, whether it's Yankee, CLMP, or other operating companies. Also vice versa. Connecticut has helped in New Hampshire cases, Massachusetts cases, and that would be reflected, for example, in the Connecticut allocation here. And to the extent our team worked on any Massachusetts or New Hampshire cases, our representative level of costs allocated to Yankee Gas would be reduced for that effect. So the answer is yes, we do expect that ebb and flow, the assistance between operating companies and states to happen regularly throughout this year, next year, and into the rate year.
And I noticed that for each of these positions, the allocation is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Does that mean that it was not a direct time allocation?
No. So we tried to clarify this. This is where the analysis of how we calculate payroll expense comes into play. So when we look at the payroll expense, which is Schedule C 3.37 in our cost of service, we first look at actual salaries by individual as of a point in time. And that's important. So that point in time is December 31st of 2023, which is the end of our test year. So throughout that calendar year, 2023, positions can fluctuate. People can come, be hired, people can leave. So what we do is we look at an overall CCC level of those salaries, and then we look at how much of that CCC, so a CCC is a cost control center. It's generally a group or a small organization. You know, for example, Marissa, myself, Mike, we have a small team. We're under one CCC 143. When we look at the CCC in totality, we look at how much of that CCC charged in total, and we compare how much was allocated to Yankee Gas in total. So specifically for this CCC, we did break it down for our example. And what we saw was out of, I believe it was 8 employees, there was 2 individuals only that charged Yankee Gas out of that CCC. But when you look at in totality, the sum of all their salaries and the allocated portion, that's where you get the 0.76%. Mathematically, it's identical and get you identical results to if you were to look at specific positions and say instead of 0.76 of all these positions, you would get 7% of one position, 0% of another position. Mathematically, you get to the same spot. But we do this on a CCC basis because CCCs generally throughout a year are consistent. You know, RCC has been in existence for quite a long time. Positions, they fluctuate throughout a year frequently. So it's very difficult to look at individual positions and say how much of this position was allocated each year.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just confirm that we do not need to provide the data for rows 360 to 66 and read in 2? Is that acceptable, Ms. Keenan?
That's fine.
Thank you.
My next department is Excel rows 486 to 517. It's the Gas Clean Technologies Customer Thermal Solutions. Is this the same as the clean energy team discussed in late file exhibit 28?
I'm sorry, could you just say that reference again? I seem to be off with the line referencing on my exhibit. I just conferred with my colleague and
Let me double
both
check.
off.
I have 488 to 517.
Yes, okay. Okay, sorry. I thought you said 486. Okay, I'm with you. Thank you.
I might have. And so this is the Gas Clean Technologies Customer Thermal Solutions Department. I guess my first question is this the same department as the clean energy team that was referred to in late file exhibit 28?
So I would say partially, and when we look at these CCCs, the CCC 1CG is the specific clean technology CCC. I will say with one, the director there has a different role under that CCC. So the manager under that CCC reports directly to the vice president, Ms. Bruno, who testified earlier. So the 1CG represents the distinct clean technologies, but Ms. Bruno does have a much wider, broad oversight of other gas-related activities that are not related to clean technologies. This is her entirety of the organization.
Okay. So I'd like to add this to the read-in to list. And if it would be possible, there's subsets in the larger group. For example, there's a strategic sales EGMA department, and then there's a first strategic sales CT. It'd be helpful to know what each of those subgroups did as well.
Okay, yes, we can get you that.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, Mr. Murray, I just want to make sure, do you understand which rows are being referred to? I know where we start at 488. I just want to confirm where it ends in terms of, just to make sure it's clear for the record and the scope of reading to.
Yes, I have 488 through 517.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next is rows 622 to 630. It's the 1PF Gas Project Engineering MA Legacy Department.
We have that.
Thank you. Next is Excel rows 745 to 750. It's the 4CR Community Relations MA Department or group.
Okay.
And the next is Excel rows 751 to 754. It's the 5CR Community Relations -NH Department.
Yes.
Next is Excel rows 758 to 782. It's the 28 positions in the Grid Modernization Department.
Okay.
And then I have a question regarding Excel row 1072, what SOX stands for.
I'm sorry, is that 1072? Is that correct?
1072.
Oh, that's Sarbanes-Oxley.
Okay, so I'd like a description of what that position did as well. If we could add that to read into.
Can actually provide that. This manager is the Sarbanes-Oxley manager who oversees all of the controls across the organization that are related to internal controls over the financial reporting of all the operating companies. So that allocation of the 5% roughly, that is the work performed likely either based on a common or causal allocator for the work that that manager and the team is performing in order to ensure that the internal controls over financial reporting for Yankee Gas are in accordance with the SOX controls, but also providing that underlying SOX control environment ultimately to ensure that the audited financial statements are accurate and with reasonable assurance are materially accurate.
Thank you.
Okay, and just to conclude, as a result of that response by Ms. Peruta, we don't need to include information on rows 1072?
No, thank you. Next, Excel rows 1091 to 1094. It's 13L budgets plus invest plan. And I'm trying to understand what they do, what this group does versus the 1QT budgets plus invest plan / gas department. And that's the 1QT budgets plus invest plan gas department is Excel rows 1095 to 1099.
Okay.
Thank you. Next is Excel rows 1201 to 1204. It's the O2E ENV plus green energy PROJ department.
Got that.
Next is Excel rows 1307 to 1311. My first question is, this is regarding the electric ops plus ENG group. Does that electric ops plus ENG stand for electric operations and engineering?
the title states safety dash electric operations and engineering.
I'd like to add that to the read into, please,
Will do.
that group. My next question, does Yankee have any substations as part of its gas distribution system? And I'm asking this because if you look at Excel rows 1356 to 1363, and then 1393 to 1397, and 1398 to 1409, there's the 1 TD substation automation department, the substation design engineering department, and then 24 positions in the substation technical engineering department. So I'd like to add that to the list.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get all of those. I started 1356.
1356 to 1363, and that's the 1 TD substation automation department.
Yes.
And then there's 1393 to 1397, and that's the substation design engineering department. And then the last one's 1398 to 1409, and that's the substation technical engineering department.
Thank you.
I have one more. Excel row 1439 to 1441, and that's the N59 electric training support department.
Got it.
Thank you. I'm also going to ask for an LFE supplement to attachment 1 of late file exhibit 34. And specifically, I would like the company to provide the following information regarding certain positions listed in attachment 1 of late file exhibit 34, which I'll identify shortly. And the additional information I would like is as follows. I'll wait till she pulls. Thank you. So in column E, I would like for the specific positions I'm going to identify shortly, the company to provide the total salary for the position. In column F, I'd like the company to provide the amount of the position's total salary that ESCO allocates to Yankee in the rate year. In column G, I'd like the company to provide the amount of the position's total 401k expense that ESCO allocates to Yankee. And then lastly, in column H, I would like the company to provide the amount of the position's total healthcare expense that ESCO allocates to Yankee. And please include whether the employee holding the position opts out of healthcare benefits, is ineligible for healthcare benefits, or is excluded as the employee is an energy efficiency position. And when you're ready, I can run through the positions for which I would like this information.